Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Johnson was once an all-star starter and had the world at his fingertips. But all of a sudden it fell apart and it ended up with him serving a life sentence in prison. We're going to talk about this very shocking downfall and all the crazy stories of the life of Eddie Johnson. So let's get straight into the video. Now, Eddie Johnson was always gifted at basketball, and he ended up committing to Auburn in 1973, and in his 4 years at Auburn, he averaged 19.5 points per game. But unfortunately, those are the only stats I can collect from that time period. And that was good enough for him to get drafted in the NBA by the Atlanta Hawks in the 3rd round. And you might be confused because the NBA only has 2 rounds. Back then, the NBA had like 7 rounds, something like that. But yeah, it's completely different than what it is today. So Eddie Johnson would have gone undrafted in today's league, but back then he was able to get drafted in the 3rd round. Now let's fast forward to his 3rd season in the NBA, the 1980 season, where he averaged 18.5 points per game on 48% shooting with 4 assists. And this was good enough for him to be an all-star starter over guys like Larry Bird. And really, this is just the beginning for Eddie Johnson as it seemed, but he started to use cocaine. And his own head coach just came out and said that Eddie Johnson has all the tools to be the best point guard in the NBA, but the only person standing in Eddie Johnson's way is Eddie Johnson. Now, in the summer of 1980, 2 men broke into Eddie Johnson's apartment, and Eddie Johnson had to escape by jumping out of a 2nd-story window because these men were shooting at him. And the reason why these men were shooting at him was because one of the guys was a pimp, and Eddie Johnson had beat up a woman that was delivering drugs to him. Eddie Johnson was then arrested for cocaine possession, but he said that he didn't have a problem. He obviously had a problem. Then Eddie Johnson would take a Porsche for a test drive at a car dealership. He took that Porsche for a test drive for a very long time. And this is me saying that he absolutely stole that Porsche from a car dealership. Eddie Johnson was then drug off an NBA practice court by 2 police officers. But Eddie Johnson bounced back on the court, definitely not off the court, in the 1981 season, averaging 19 points per game on 50% shooting. But the rest of his career, he was a shell of his former self, constantly in news headlines. And then in 1987, he played his final season in the NBA with the Seattle Supersonics. But the reason why this was his final NBA season was because he attempted to sell crack cocaine to an undercover police officer for just $20. So Eddie Johnson was banned for life from the NBA. Now, after Eddie Johnson was banned for life from the NBA, he got into even more trouble, and he racked up over 100 arrests. I can't go into all of them, we'd be here all day, so I'm going to name the craziest things that happened before I tell you what got him life in prison. And one of these is abandoning a child, battery, punching a police officer in the face, stealing $93 worth of clothes from Target, and breaking into 2 houses, and passing a false check. Now, this is where the story takes an even darker turn, and this is about as dark as it can get. In 2006, Eddie Johnson broke into a woman's hotel room and her. I think you know what I mean when I say it starts with an R. I think you already know. I don't even have to say it. It's terrible. But then they let him go on bond to wait for his trial date, which was a terrible mistake because a month later, he again, but this time to an 8-year-old girl breaking into her apartment. That is terrible. It is unacceptable. And he spent the rest of his miserable, terrible life in prison. In October of 2020, Eddie Johnson died in prison after falling ill with an undisclosed illness. And that ended a life that was full of just pure evil and trouble. So yeah, I wanted to tell this story. I know Mike Korzemba already did this video, but he did not share the update that Eddie Johnson had died. So I wanted to get that out there. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. I'm sure the next video will be a lot more lighthearted like it usually is. But I thought this would be a cool story to tell. It's definitely not a cool story, but I thought it would be a video that you guys might like. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.